ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football overtime. Cowboys, Niners, rivalry. This felt big. I tweeted this out right before the game started. I said, man, this game feels huge. I'm jealous. These are the kinds of games as a fan of one of the teams playing in it that you just get juiced up for. Like there's an extra added motivation for your team to go out and get it done. And you don't get a lot of these throughout the course of the season, right? It used to be like this all the time. Back in the day, you would get these massive primetime games. They tend to not get the primetime games right for whatever reason. And obviously, back in the days, the Monday night game or the Sunday night game, there were no Thursdays. The packages were a lot smaller. The networks didn't have as much say so as to, hey, I'm protecting this game. You're right. You can't have Eagles, Cowboys, week 11, right? Like they used to protect, or they didn't used to protect the games like they do now, right? They paying all this money. I'm gonna get me some of these games, right? I'm gonna get me some of these 425 kickoffs if you CBS or if you Fox. So you don't always get these. And sometimes the networks, like they did with the Jets and the Chiefs, they think they got it right. And then Aaron Rodgers gets hurt week 1. And so you miss out on some of these. So to have this line up the way that it did, Dallas 3-1, dominant defense, Niners 4-0, only, one of 2 undefeated teams left in the league along with Philadelphia. And Dallas be ejected from the playoffs each of the last 2 years by this 49ers team. It lined up beautifully. And then we got this ass whooping, this thorough, and this is what we call a sterile ass whooping. They sterilized the Cowboys tonight, neutralized them, sterile ass whooping. Okay, let's go ahead and get this out the way right now. Think there's been a murder. I can't think there's been, I think there's been a murder. Damn, didn't see that coming. 42-10, final score in the game tonight. I think the 49ers made the statement that they are the NFC's best team. They've got competition. The Lions look damn good. The Eagles are playing good football. They're the only other undefeated team remaining in the NFL. And I thought the Cowboys were somewhere in that conversation. I didn't know exactly where. Tonight kind of gave me more confirmation. First of all, Dak Prescott, or as I like to call him, Daiquiri, is sweet like syrup. It ain't shit changed. Dak is still the same dude. Same OD. Pause. Same dude. Different offense. They're trying to protect it. What I tell y'all? They over here spoon feeding this man. Wait, enough of the Cowboys. We got a lot of time to dissect this ass whooping from their perspective. To the victors go the spoils. Let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers and their dismantling. They literally took apart, disassembled the Dallas Cowboys, spread the pieces of their football team across Levi Stadium, and left the Cowboys to clean that mess up. Y'all figure out where the pieces are and put that shit back together. Disassembled those boys and dismembered them and left them on the field to figure it out for themselves. 42-10. Brock Purdy was outstanding. So I think it was after the Giants game, I was like, man, I'm not too blown away by this 49ers offense. And Brock Purdy, he's good, but the last 2 weeks, I think I had to eat my words on Brock. And I like Brock. Don't get me wrong. I was just like, he's nothing special, but he's exactly what the 49ers need for this offense. Like, he runs Shanahan's offense to a T perfectly, and he's just athletic enough to make some of the plays come to life that past quarterbacks who weren't athletes, i.e. Kirk Cousins or Matt Ryan or some of the other guys that, Jimmy Garoppolo, if you're a 49ers fan, he's just athletic enough to make some of those other plays come to life that those guys couldn't in past iterations of Kyle Shanahan's offense. So it's like the perfect storm. Obviously, you get Christian McCaffrey into this offense. He's such a Swiss Army knife, similar to Kyle Juszczyk in that way, where you can do so many different things with him. Then you just got the perfect pieces at every level, obviously, and they're so unselfish. Like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk has really morphed into exactly what they drafted him to be. At the beginning, it was rough. He wasn't getting on the field. Him and Kyle weren't seeing eye to eye. And it was, I think his play was suffering because he was, kind of suffering from a lack of confidence. All of that is now dissipated. He's probably their number one wide receiver, like true pass catching threat. We know Deebo is the number one playmaker at the receiver position, but you're just talking about the guy they throw the football to. It's more so Brandon Ayuk. And, between those two, Juszczyk, McCaffrey, and then tonight you just got a nice little dose, right, of George Kittle. And it's like, what the hell do you do, right? They're tossing it this way. They're throwing a screen that way. They're going bootleg this way. They're doing, double reverse tosses back to the quarterback, double reverse flea flicker back to the quarterback, for a touchdown like Detroit did earlier. What do you do? Like when they're coming at you from all these different angles, and I love the strategy. It's the same thing the Eagles really did to neutralize Michael Parsons last year, but I think the 49ers plan is even more intricate, because what the Eagles essentially did was they just ran at him like, all right, we're gonna run this read option at you. Like, you got to make a decision, right? They did a lot of trapping, a lot of pulling, a lot of wham blocks on Michael Parsons to really keep him out of the action. And they really didn't give him a lot of one-on-ones with Trent. Trent, every time he lined up against Trent, he got chipped a lot of times, and then Trent took care of the rest of it. But they just took him out of the game completely, right? And once they couldn't get to Brock, I've said this about Dallas's defense. It's good up front, but you can take advantage of them in the back end. It's a solid group, but they're not the best secondary in football. It's hard in the back end to be really nice, because all it takes is for one guy to not do his job on in the back end, and everything can go to shit. And not that the Cowboys stink back there, but that's when you start feeling the loss of a Trayvon Diggs. Games like this where they just don't have an answer back there. Like, they didn't bring Stephon Gilmore in to be their number one, and the 49ers just went after them with impunity, with the most confidence I've seen the team attack Dallas defensively. With impunity, they went after them. And it was like, if they don't fumble, if McCaffrey doesn't fumble, like, they were doing whatever they wanted to do. Kyle Shanahan was not happy at halftime for a reason. They were dominating this game. They should have been up more than 21-10 at half. Or 21-7, excuse me, at half. They were dominating Dallas. They had more first downs in the first quarter than Dallas had plays and yards. Dallas had 7 plays in the first quarter and 6 yards. Meanwhile, San Francisco had 8 first downs in the first quarter. They were absolutely smoking Dallas. But Dallas, give them credit, made some plays defensively, hung in there, and it was a lot closer than it needed to be. But we saw them continue to do what they did in the first half in the second half, and Dallas really didn't have any answers. And it starts with Bosa and then the linebackers. The 49ers defensively are just so good, and they're so good throughout defensively. I think that's the difference between their defense and Dallas is I trust the 49ers secondary more than I trust Dallas's secondary. I love Dallas's front, but if they're not hitting, if they're not getting home, if they're not impacting the run game, and we saw that against Arizona, and this was prior to them losing, well, I think they lost Trayvon Diggs the week of practice before the Arizona game. But we saw defensive breakdowns in the secondary against Arizona. Like, you can attack Dallas's secondary if you get time. And it's like they had Dallas scouted to a T. And some of the things Arizona was able to implement, you saw San Francisco do some of that tonight. The touchdown, the last touchdown to George Kittle, that was a similar play to what the Arizona Cardinals ran when they got their rookie wide receiver from Stanford wide ass open in a busted coverage. You do a half sprint roll to the left, right? And then you get action going back across the field to the right. And that's what happened on the Kittle play, essentially in the end zone. They kept Dallas off balance all night long. And they were able to run it effectively. They mixed in a little bit of the screen game just to keep them honest. But it was really them being able to protect Brock Purdy. Did he even get sacked tonight? That's a great question. I really thought it was their ability to just protect Brock Purdy. And a lot of it was with the run game. A lot of it was with misdirection. Again, there's so many different ways you can protect your quarterback. And then when he needed to just drop back and throw the football, they were able to just protect him in that situation as well. I don't think he got sacked tonight. Let me check and see. Maybe there was one. I know there was one play where Jaron Kearse tracked him down from behind. I don't know if they counted that as a sack or not. They did. That was the only play that he got sacked on. But, I mean, he was in his zone, man. That throw, that it got called back due to a holding penalty on Burford. But that throw he had to Brandon Ayuk on that, it looked like a deep over. Might have been like a little rail route or a bench route or something towards that sidelines. Are you kidding me? Brock Purdy was in his bag tonight, man. 4 touchdown passes. Last week, only 1 incompletion. I mean, he's locked in. And Kyle's got him one. And you know how I feel about Kyle as a play caller. When Kyle is locked in and he's got a guy, look out. And, another thing that San Francisco exposed tonight with Dallas is that their defense, it's good, but it's not what we thought it was. And it's easy to kind of, we saw inklings of this against Arizona. It's easy to get caught up when you're playing New England. New England can't even score now, right? Been outscored 67-3 in their last 70. Dallas scored 38, gave up 37 today. 75-3 in their last 2 games. The Patriots have been outscored. So they can't score. So we know they're point deficient. We know the Jets are struggling, They're on a struggle bus offensively. And the Giants are one of the worst offenses in football, right? The Giants scored 16 points today, and 7 of it came directly because of the defense. And the other 3 field goals that they kicked, one of them was also produced based off of a turnover created by the defense. So the Giants didn't score an offensive touchdown today. So that's the offenses that Dallas has gone up against. And so, yeah, they've dominated. But then when you put them up against a real top flight NFL offense, they struggle mightily. And that's an understatement. So I think we can put to rest the Cowboys' best defense in the NFL. That's dead. Got a 40 spot put on their head, a 40 burger. Let's talk about those linebackers, though, man. I love watching the 49ers backers. I was fiending up in the offseason when Azeez Al-Shire was available. I was like, hey, look, I know I can't get my hands on Dre Greenlaw. I know I can't get my hands on Fred Warner. Let me just get one of the scraps. The table scraps. Just let me get some that fell off the table. Let me get that right there. But I talk to Washington fans all the time about dogs, right? And what dogs look like and how they're wired differently and sometimes they color outside the lines. Ask any 49ers fan about Drake Greenlaw. Bit of a head case. You know, every so often you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. I thought he was going to get one at the beginning of the game when he stopped Tony Pollard for a no gain. They blowing the whistle, and he picked him up and he slammed his ass out of bounds. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. But he got away with it, right? That's Drake Greenlaw. He's going to be physical. He's going to overstep his boundaries a couple of times. He's a habitual line stepper, right? He's going to step over the line, pick up a penalty, but you willing to deal with that because the dude is a walking play, right? He's a walking play. Whether it's a hit, whether he's getting his hands on the ball, whether he's getting to the quarterback, he's a walking play waiting to happen. And you saw, and there was one play, I don't know if you guys saw it, but that one of the Dallas, I think it was Tony Pollard ran the ball, and he might have even been a catch. And Drake Greenlaw loaded up a serious peanut punch. Like if this was a video game, he loaded up his super move bar all the way to the top, and that was a super bolo punch that he unleashed. And you know, he just missed, and that as Pollard's going down, two other 49ers were tackling him. He went like this because he was looking for that punch out. And we saw Fred Warner already get one early in the game. How that ball didn't go out of bounds, how I didn't touch somebody that was out of bounds is amazing, right? And then we saw him pick off a pass. We saw him sack Dak on a play where, normally average to below average defenses on a simple mesh concept like Dallas was running on that 3rd and 4. CeeDee Lamb gets wide open. Isaiah Oliver, I thought, played his ass off tonight. I loved him coming out of Colorado. When he was drafted by the Falcons, I thought, man, this kid's going to be special. And I think he's found a home, man. Sometimes with dudes who are talented, it just takes them finding the right scheme. And then, sometimes it's also just about playing in the league for a little bit, getting your bearings. You come in, and you played in the, Big 12. I think when he was there, Colorado was still in the Big 12. They were about to go to the Pac-12. He might have been at the tail end or the very beginning of them being in the Pac-12. And the level of competition is a little bit different. It's a little bit of a culture shock. You get to the NFL and you got to adjust. I think he's all acclimated. He's adjusted, and he just looks like a different player. But anyway, they played the hell out of that mesh concept. Warner goes underneath, gets in the passing lane. Oliver then comes over the top and is able to take it away. So Dak goes to pump fake. Fred's not having this shit, doesn't really leave his feet, and sacks him. These dudes are just off the chart smart. Like even his zone shit, right? There's a pass that Dak throws to CeeDee Lamb over the middle of the field early in the 4th quarter, maybe late 3rd. And he's buzzing to the middle of the field. Most basic ass middle linebackers in the NFL, they buzz to the middle of the field. They play grass. They don't actually look up a receiver and see where they're coming and run with them, right, to get into that passing lane. He is dropping back. He's buzzing into his zone drop. He sees CD coming on the deep dig, and he gets right underneath that bad boy, dives. I don't think he got a piece of it, and CD didn't catch it, but I think it was his distraction and his activity that made that an incomplete pass, made it a tougher window for Dak to throw into. He's just different, and you can tell when dudes are locked in and they just see the game differently. He's a student of the game. Like, you want your middle linebacker to perform like Fred Warner. I think he's the best in the business, and I think him and Drake Greenlaw make up the best tandem of linebackers in football, and they showed it. It was on full display tonight. They did it all tonight, and Dallas had no answers. And I've been talking about Dallas's dink and dunk offense. They call it the Texas West Coast or whatever, the Texas Coast offense, whatever the hell they're calling that shit. It's trash. I just know that. It's a lot of Dak dinking and dunking, throwing it to the running back and tight ends underneath. And how many catches CeeDee Lamb have tonight? How many yards? How many catches Brandon Cooks have? How many yards? How many catches did Michael Gallup have? How many yards? Not a lot. Because that's what this offense is. And when you challenge them and you take that shit away and you force Dak to throw it down the field, this is your end result. 3 interceptions. That is what you get out of Dackery. Because he's still sweet like syrup. Let's see the yardage on these receivers real quick for Dallas. 4 for 49 for CD. 4 for 35 for Tony. He's your second leading receiver in this game. That's how it's been this season, though. Jake Ferguson, I talked about the tight ends, 3 for 28. Gallup, 2 for 15. Cooks, 1 for 7. This is what it's been because they just are nickel and diamond, and they've been able to get away with it all season long because of who they've played. And we talked about this. The likes of New England and the Jets and the Giants, that allowed them, and it was supposed to be Arizona as well, was supposed to allow them to get away with this shit. The first time they saw a real opponent that wasn't having that underneath shit, these little check downs, and they won't missing tackles or they won't giving up all of this extra run after the catch space on these underneath throws. All of a sudden, Dak ain't 20, he ain't 31 or 38 tonight for 242 yards. That nickel and dime bullshit he been doing all year. He ain't 24 of 31 or 24 of 30 for 255. Not tonight. Not tonight. Because now those little dump downs and these check downs that he been throwing all season long where ain't nobody around and you're able to get 5, 6, 7, 8 yards after the catch, they shut that shit down. You got to make some real throws tonight, brother. And that 49ers defense said, I double dog dare you. Make a throw. And he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. And the pressure wasn't even that great. I mean, they got pressure on him. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like suffocating pressure. Their coverage is tight because guys are locked in. They're not playing grass. They playing the coverage. So when I see somebody running my zone, I'm going to attach myself to them. I'm not going to just keep playing my little patch of grass and just allow action and activity to take place behind me that I'm ignorant to. No, this is how you play tight, sound defense. When a guy runs into your zone, I match him. Now he's my guy. Now that's how the shit get tight. That's how you get interceptions. You see Fred Warner hustling to the football. He buzzed all the way to his left, right? Ball's deflected by Lenore, and he buzzed all the way back over to his right and picks the shit up. Good things happen when you haul ass to the football, like your damn hair's on fire. The 49ers fly to the football, all of them. That's what makes a great defense. It's dudes hustling, dudes being in tune to what's going on. Guys are smart, they're aware, but they also bust their ass. And everybody buys in. Everybody that comes into the game, from your first defensive line, group to the second shift that comes in, to the, nickel corner that's coming in, to the fourth corner, to the third safety that's checking in the ball, they all buy in. They got a nice little 1-2 punch with Mason at the running back. They didn't even have Elijah Mitchell. And I like the Mason kid. Liked him last year as a rookie out of Georgia Tech. They got them a nice little stable of backs. They ain't even using Price Davis. He got in garbage time at the end of the game tonight. They just got stuff on top of stuff on top of stuff. It's a dangerous team, man. I think they're the best in the NFC. I thought they were the best in the NFC last year. And if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt in the championship game, I think they beat Philadelphia. But we'll see. That's now what? 10-0 for Brock Purdy as a starter in the NFL regular season-wise? Yikes. I don't know when they're going to lose either. I mean, you look at the schedule, I think they got the Browns next week. I mean, the Browns aren't mince meat, and the Browns are tough at home, and they play defense. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know when they lose their first game. That's going to be interesting. So then you look at Dallas's perspective, and I know it's going to be an overreaction. Dallas stinks, and they're not trash by any stretch of the imagination. They're just not on the 49ers level, and there aren't many teams that are. Probably the only team in the conference. I don't want to discount Detroit, but it's probably just Philadelphia that's on their level right now. They're equals. The 49ers and the Eagles are probably equals. I'd give the nod to the 49ers right now because I just think they're better than the Eagles defensively. That's just my opinion. Offensively, I think the Eagles are right there with them. But I think defensively, they got the leg up on Philadelphia. The Eagles defense, I just don't think is there. But the another team to not sleep on is Detroit, because they're fully capable. I just don't trust Jared Goff. That's my biggest issue with them. Is I trust Jalen Hurts. I trust Brock Purdy. I don't trust, and maybe I need to get over that shit. But man's played in the Super Bowl before, but I just don't trust Jared Goff. I think if you put a little pressure on him, he'll do stupid shit. So I don't know. Dallas is just not in that conversation. That's what this game says to me. There's a pecking order in the NFC, and I think right now Dallas has just proven that they're probably on that second line with Detroit. And it's just Philly and San Francisco at the top. And then that next tier down, you find Seattle, Detroit, and Dallas is there. And I think a lot of people were putting Dallas up there with Philadelphia and San Francisco. And tonight's game proved that they're not up there. They're on that next tier down with Seattle and Detroit. And that's fine, right? Those 5 teams that I just mentioned, Detroit, Seattle, Dallas, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, those 5 teams are making the playoffs. And then whoever wins the NFC South, right? So you already got 6 spots in the NFC pretty much spoken for. Seattle, I don't want to shoo them in, but they're going to be there when it's all said and done, I believe. But I mean, they talked about Dallas's schedule, and it's going to get tough. I think they'll be up for the challenge. They're going to win some games that people don't think they're going to win, and you're going to look up, and Dallas will win 10, 11 games this year. But I don't believe in this offense. I believe in their defense. Even after the shellacking they took tonight, that defense is good. There is a way to handle them. There is a way to attack them. And to me, you have to attack them this way, right? Like the 49ers are probably one of few teams. Maybe the Lions could get away with it too because they're physical and athletic at the same time up front. But there aren't many teams that can run side to side, right, against Dallas. They're just too fast. Like you're wasting your time doing that. But the 49ers were able to run tosses and pitches and kind of still get out there on the perimeter, stretch that defense, make them run, tire them out, and still have some success with that. Generally, if you want to run at Dallas, you got to run right at them. That's where and they had their most success tonight running right at Dallas. Counters, traps, things like that, where they got a guy coming backside to cut off, Michael Parsons, and, they running these twists and stunts, and they run right at this shit. Don't run away from it. Run right at that damn stunt, right up front. And that's where you saw some of those big holes up the middle of the field that they were able to exploit. And so there is a philosophical approach. Not everybody can pull it off because you got to be able to do that, and you still got to be able to protect when it's time on 3rd and 6 and 3rd and 8. And they were able to protect Brock Purdy. He was really under no duress. So when it came time for him to throw the football, there was a 3rd and after he threw that dime to Brandon Ayuk, they had the penalty on Burford. It was 3rd and what, like 16, 17. Okay, and Brock Purdy just dropped back. Dallas got into a soft zone, and he threw it right to Deebo Samuel for about a gain of 30 and got that shit right on back and then some. So they got no pressure. That's not what we've seen from Dallas, but San Francisco absolutely neutralized those boys, put them to sleep. But Dallas's defense is going to be fine. That I'm not worried about because they're going to take advantage of most teams. Most teams aren't San Francisco, so they don't have to worry about seeing these boys. They will take advantage of most offensive lines and most offensive coordinators. What I worry about with them is this offense because I was never sold. I've been telling y'all about this cupcake, basic-ass offense they're running with Dak, this nickel and dime shit that they're doing. He's not pushing the ball vertically. Nobody's afraid of that shit because what you've been able to see already this season, even from the lesser teams, is Dallas can move it up and down the field, but once it gets into the red zone, all that shit stops. And now you 1 of 4, you 1 of 5 in the red zone, and you're selling for field goals. Ain't nobody afraid. You can have all the yards you want. You can go 20 to 20 all day. When you get in that red zone, that's where the game's going to be won or lost. And ain't nobody afraid of Dallas's offense. What has been really turning the tide for them is the defense. It's funny because, and this is why you got to pay attention to the stat. And this, a lot of people, I always kill fans who love to, take numbers, because you can make numbers say whatever you want them to say, right? People lie, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Yeah, no, you can make numbers lie. You can make numbers stretch the truth a little bit. So, the Cowboys was averaging up over 30 points a game this season. Look at my face. Come on now. You watch Dallas this year, there ain't no 30-point a game offense, right? Why are they averaging up over 30 points a game? Special teams done scored a touchdown. Defense done scored 3 touchdowns. Defense forcing turnovers, giving them short fields where they kicking field goals. Come on, man. We know the truth. They're not out here scoring 30 off the sole strength of their offense. They get 38 against New England last week. 2 of those was defensive touchdowns. And the third score came off of another pick by Deron Bland that put him in point-blank range for more points. Like, this ain't off the strength of their offense just going out and just manhandling teams and putting up 30, like the 49ers did to them tonight. This is Dallas being aided and abetted by their defense, scoring points. So, I'm not worried about Dallas's defense. It's their offense. I'm like, you can't keep up with teams that can. Like, if the Chargers get in their bag next week, and Kellen Moore gonna want that one bad, right? Kellen Moore gonna want that one bad. If they could protect Justin Herbert and he gets into his bag and turns that thing into a shootout. I mean, I don't love the Chargers defense, and they've been giving it up this year, but I don't know if Dallas can keep up, because their offense ain't that good. And this to me tonight was a microcosm of that. And at some point, tempers are going to start flaring. You don't think CeeDee Lamb going to snap here shortly? That's going to happen. Where he start getting pissed off and inconsolable on the sideline because he ain't getting the rock. Right now, everything is internal. Like, you can see him visibly upset and frustrated, but he handling it himself. Eventually, that's just going to turn outward. Have another ass whooping like this take place on Monday, or have another game or two where he gets 4 or 5 targets and only 2 or 3 catches. See what happened. It's coming. Brandon Cooks ain't cooking nobody. And I told you, the Cowboys went and got a bunch of oldie but goodies. Brandon Cooks is an oldie but goodie. Stephon Gilmore is an oldie but goodie. You can only do something. I hope Deron Bland is okay. Saw him leave the game. I don't know if he came back or not. Leighton Vander Esch, saw him leave the game. Hope he's okay. Because the last thing you can afford if you're Dallas is to have pieces of that defense that's already been picked at by losing Trayvon Diggs. To have pieces of that defense, integral parts, like a Deron Bland, like a Leighton Vander Esch, who's playing an excellent ball this year. Last thing you can afford is to have that start being picked apart. Because that's all you got left. Your offense ain't carrying you nowhere. Your offense ain't shit. You ain't about a damn on offense. You got Tony Pollard and the tight ends right now. Those are your biggest weapons on offense. Because that's who Dak throwing the ball to. So they better hope those dudes are okay. There's no serious injuries to either one of them. And because I still trust that their defense is going to, because they're not playing San Francisco every week. Yeah. You get your ass whooped by teams like this. All you got to do is say, hey, look, man, we're not playing them again until we get to the championship game. We're not playing them unless we get to the playoffs again. That's how you chalk that up. Hey, I've been saying this. The Eagles don't look like that. And it's family business anyway. So even if the Eagles was kicking ass like that, you still wouldn't look at them like somebody else outside the division looking at them, because you're like, hey, I know those boys, man. They ain't doing that shit to me because I know them. But Philadelphia don't look like that. I know they play Detroit. They've been doing some things. I don't know. Detroit can score it. Detroit can score it. They play a little defense too, so that'll be an interesting one. But you ain't gonna have too many games on the schedule that look like that. That was rough. But the 49ers they that team right now. That was a statement, man. Damn, that was a hell of a statement. Because we went into the game thinking, hey, this is gonna be a hell of a ball game, and these are two equally matched teams. No, the hell they are not. These two are not the same. They are. The point is like, hey, let me just let you know, we are not the same. Just in case you were wondering, we are not the same. Noted. Okay, noted. So this was a thorough ass whipping. I mean, the kind where you get your shoes, coat, and your hat taken. I mean, a good old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping, get your shoes, coat, and your hat taken. Damn. That was delicious, though. Delicioso. Misery loves company. And for the most part, this don't really do nothing for me in particular as a Commanders fan after what because we played the Bears. They didn't play the Bears and got a 40 spot put on their head. They played the best team in the NFC and got a 40 spot put on their head on the road, right? You can justify it still don't change the fact that you got your ass whooped. But at least you can say, hey, man, we played a hell of a team. We played a juggernaut. And they steamrolled our ass. We played the lowly Bears and got 40 put on our head. It's not the same. It's not the same. So while a lot of Commanders fans will probably be like, hey, all right, that was great. I don't feel as bad now. No, you should still feel bad because they're still 3-2 and they're still a good football team. And we have no idea what we are. We suck right now. That's what we do. We suck. So, again, much like the 49ers said, we are not one and the same. Dallas is looking at it. We are not one and the same. Do not link us in the same group because you are not in our category. Touche. I totally agree with that assessment. But you're not in their category. And for anybody that thought Dallas was winning something this year, you ain't winning a damn thing. You ain't winning a damn thing. And the real question is this the last year for Dakary? That's the real question. I don't know the specifics of his contract and what it looks like past this year. But they brought Trey Lance here for a reason. This wasn't an accident. I'm not saying. I actually thought that he was going to get in tonight. Why the hell not? Ain't nothing worse than, and this was bad. I mean, I've been a part of some serious ass whoopings. It's rare though that you get the other team starters keep keying at the 13-minute mark of the fourth quarter. I mean, that means they took off the entire fourth quarter. The 49ers scored on the first play, the second play of the fourth quarter, and they immediately took out all of their starters after that. So I see Boza over there. He over here rubbing his chest, talking to Fred Warner. They keep keying, right? Brock Purdy's got a ball cap on over there, chumming it up, right? Ain't nothing worse. You still got all your starters on the field fighting and scratching and clawing, and they over there treating this bitch like a preseason game in the middle of August. Damn. And normally that shit take place at like the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter, right? Game is well in hand. It's almost over. We're going to go ahead and empty the bench. I like an NBA game when the other team concedes and they wave the white flag and they empty the bench. And all right, I can take my foot off the gas pedal. The 49ers took their shit off the gas pedal at the beginning of the fourth quarter, man. Damn. And then they backups proceeded to come in and bust your shit. You got Oren Burks in the game picking Dak ass off, and Mason rips off a 30-something yard touchdown. The backups came in and blessed your ass. It's a rough night, man. Shit, that's rough. Anyway, I digress. Ah, man. Anytime you taking off the whole fourth quarter, though, irrepossible. Oh, man. That is rough. Yikes. Zoink Scoob. Hey, let's get to the comment section, man. Enough of this. 42-10 ass thrashing at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. Niners remain undefeated 5-0. Keep pace with the 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys drop to 3-2. Sean McKenzie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for getting the night started right. Good old Dak sold my $580 parlay below 241 yards. I knew he wasn't going to do a damn thing tonight. You know, if they were going to be successful tonight, it was going to be Tony Pollard because he played well against them, if you recall, last year in the playoffs before he got hurt. I thought that Pollard would be a bigger part of the game plan, and they took him out early. With that forced fumble, it kind of like took Tony Pollard out of the game. And I was surprised how, Dallas became so one-dimensional. And honestly, if you're playing Dallas, I think Rodney Harrison said in the pregame that he talked to a 49ers player, and they said they wanted to take Tony Pollard in the run game out of the Cowboys offense essentially and make Dak beat them, which is the way to go. Because with the way they're throwing the football right now, the way their offense is constructed, it's not constructed for Dak to be able to take big shots down the field. Everything is down, is underneath. Everything is, 5 to 7 yards and into the line of scrimmage. They're not pushing the ball vertically. So they're not really threatening you. So you saw what the 49ers were doing. They were sitting on all the underneath shit. And as soon as Dak did the little dump off like he's been doing all season, they just rallied up and smacked the hell out of these dudes. So it was no yards after catch. There was no extra yardage after they were able to make something happen like they've been getting all season long. A lot of times they throw it to the tight end underneath and there's 8 yards of space, right? And he's rumbling for a 15, 17-yard gain. Or he dumps it down to Tony Pollard because everybody's getting so far back. They worry about CeeDee Lamb. They worried about this guy. And so Tony Pollard catches it, and then he's got 7, 8 yards of space to operate with. Now he makes another guy miss, and he's up the sideline, and now it's a 27-yard gain. That shit wasn't happening. The 49ers ain't respect them enough to do that. And that's what the good defense is going to do. They're going to challenge them. And you're going to have to hit some shit over my head. And I ain't seen you do it all year. So until you do that, I'm coming up. I'm challenging you, and I'm daring you to do something behind me. The one play they got behind them was the touchdown to the return man. His name escapes me. That's a hell of a catch. First of all, it was a great throw by Dak, but that's a hell of a catch. Over the shoulder, track that bitch. That was nice. But they really don't push the ball vertically. Dak tried to throw a deep ball, and what happened? It got picked up, right? Like, that's not what they do. So I didn't think he would be over 240 yards tonight. So that was easy money, if you ask me. Frankie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Trent Williams really woke Micah up, got him dressed and ready, put him in the car, and took him back to school tonight. Wow, any team would be really lucky to have this guy. Now, again, I don't want to give Trent too much credit. They did a great job of helping him tonight. He didn't get a ton of one-on-ones with Micah. Anytime they knew they were throwing the ball, they had somebody chip Micah or come over and gave Trent a little bit of help, and then Trent did the rest, right? But again, he did his part. Trent did his part to keep it awfully quiet on that left side. He hasn't given up a sack all year for a reason, So not he woke him up, got him dressed, and took him to school back. Took him back to school. You stupid as hell. Daniel Jones, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Are we overlooking how young this team really is? I don't think so. I think both of these teams are relatively young. I think that the 49ers are a little bit older, like guys like Juszczyk, up there in age. Trent Williams up there in age. I mean, you look at that line, for the most part, it's a young line. They do a really good job of drafting guys in various rounds and getting the most out of them. Kyle always knows what he's looking for in terms of offensive linemen. The guys you looking at, he not looking at those dudes. He looking at somebody, in the later rounds that he can develop that fit his scheme. But, Ayuk is young. Deebo Samuel is young. George Kittle is still relatively young. It's a pretty damn young team. I mean, Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, those boys are still young, right? Lenore is young. Tashawn Gibson is older, right? He's an older player. But Talanoa Hufanga is a young player. I think Javon Hargrave is he's mid. I think he's getting up there a little bit, but he's still relatively young. Got some good football left ahead of him. Air Armstead. It's a young team, man. I mean, when you think about it, McCaffrey is in running back years. He's getting up there, right? But you also got to keep in mind he didn't play football for pretty much 2 years. So his 27, that's what I'm guessing McCaffrey is, 27. His 27 ain't a normal 27. There's a lot more tread left on those tires. Well, I'll say this. For all the usage that he gets, because they threw it to him and ran it with him in Carolina, and they're doing the same thing here. He's probably slightly under where he should be if you were a basic regular running back at 27, wear and tear wise, right? And if he would have been healthy all them years, he'd be probably more like a 29, 30-year-old back with the wear and tear that he would have received due to his high usage rate. But because he didn't play for like damn near 2 years dealing with little nagging injuries, and it's not like any of them were like a torn this or, a ruptured that. It was just like, hamstring, ankle. It was a little knick-knack injury. So he still got, a lot more mileage than you would expect. So then Dallas isn't young to me. You got Hankins as a key contributor. You got Gilmore, you got Cooks, Tyron Smith is old as dirt. Zach Martin is getting up there, right? I'd say they're mixed. The Cowboys is more mixed. I think the 49ers are really young, though. Samuel Hatley, been a member for 21 months. That clearly wasn't pissed off enough. I mean, he probably already knew. I'm still tripping off of what he said to the media after the loss to Arizona. Like, how can that guy be your leader? The man literally said, we never said we were good. Y'all said we were good. We know what we are. Well, what the hell are you, Dak? Are y'all garbage? It's one thing to say, hey, we didn't put ourselves on a pedestal. You did. But for you to say, we never said we were good. Y'all said we were good. Stop. What? Like, you can't even try to spin that in a way that says they put words in my mouth or they misconstrued my message. No, you literally just said, we never said we were good, which is allowing us to imply that we think we're trash. You said that we were good. We never said that. What? I think Dak is very fragile-minded. He's a very fragile individual, and I don't think Jerry Jones's antics over the last 2 years have helped in any way, shape, or form. It's only, I think, further weakened his mental grip on what he's doing for this football team. Like, I don't think Dak is as confident as he was 3 years ago. I think he's a different dude now. And Mike McCarthy running this offense the way he's running it, to me, is evidence that they don't trust Dak. He doesn't trust Dak. But I digress. John Cedillo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes. Sup, Lou? Sup, John? Hope all is well. This is embarrassing but enlightening. I agree. Classic example of contender versus pretender. Not surprised at the loss, but to get manhandled, shaking my head. For me, more evidence we aren't winning anything with Dak Prescott. I agree with your entire statement. You've always been one of the most level-headed Cowboys fans that I've ever encountered. So I knew you would take this in that manner. Like, y'all aren't trash, right? This was not, I didn't expect this type of loss. I didn't expect you to win this game. I thought you could. Like, my dad's a Cowboys fan. Boss man, I talked to Boss man, and he said, if we can't get them this time, because he felt like they were vulnerable. Like, this is the time. Our defense is playing top-notch football. He hasn't been overly impressed with San Francisco's offense. Neither was I going into this game. And I said, I think y'all can move the ball on them. I don't know if you're going to score enough points, which is why I didn't pick them. But I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if you could get Brock Purdy to turn it over. If that defense is howling, they get after him a little bit. I could see y'all sneaking these boys, on some 23-20, 24-20 type shit. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it was going to be a 42-10 ass thrashing, in which Dallas was dominated every way imaginable. And the score really doesn't indicate how thorough of an ass whooping it was. This easily could have, they took their starters out with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Christian McCaffrey fumbled at the 1. This could have easily been a 50 spot. 60 if they wanted it to be. Like, let that shit sink in. You know what I'm saying? Like, yikes. I think it's definitely confirmation y'all not winning anything with Dak. And I don't think he's where he needs to be mentally to lead this team anywhere that they want to go. So, and again, I feel like Jerry is largely responsible for a lot of the shortcomings of Dak Prescott from a mental standpoint. You're supposed to build your guys up. And Jerry's been taking little shots at him. He doesn't defend Dak. And then you go trade for Trey Lance without telling him that you're going to do this. And I think Jerry's playing mind games, and Dak's already mentally fragile just off of the strength of the shit that's happened in his life with him losing his mom and his brother. Like, Dak's already not, the most mentally stable guy from a personal perspective. Don't think that shit doesn't seep into your professional life as well. You start to question some shit. And Jerry's over here playing mind games, and that ain't the dude to be doing that shit with. First of all, that position itself is not one you play games with. The quarterback position isn't one where you're looking for competition, unless you don't actually have a guy. Yeah, Dak threw a bunch of picks last year, and he missed 4 games, so technically speaking, like, he could have been way worse. But if you're going to ride with him, ride with him. If you not, then keep doing the shit you're doing. You'll make it a much faster exit for him. Eric Sunderland, thank you for being a member of the MOBB for a month. Who writes, Cowboys L, the best recovery for a Washington L. I don't subscribe to that. It's cool when they lose, but that shit don't help us. We still 2-3. Had they won this game and been 4-1, we still would have been 2-3. The goal ain't to catch Dallas. The goal is to catch Philly. So you want to be number 1. Like, Dallas doesn't really impact us one way or the other than, if they're not as good, that's another wild card spot that might be available at season's end, right? That's attainable. But I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't. If I didn't smile a couple times tonight and chuckle a couple of times at the ass whooping that was being administered. But had they won this game, I wouldn't have been upset or bent out of shape or any of that shit. It's just, it is what it is. I would much rather my team be good than Dallas suck. That I've always been very consistent with that messaging. Like, too often I find Washington fans to be obsessed with what Dallas is doing instead of being consumed with what we doing. Oh man, we lost. I hope Dallas loses. No, don't worry about Dallas. We need to find a way to take care of our shit, right? Because I guarantee you Cowboys fans ain't checking on us to make sure we lose, right? They upset and obsessed with why the hell did we get our asses handed to us? So I just would love to see us focus as a fan base on our shit. We so used to losing, we just worried about dragging others down with us because we know where we going. We gonna be at the bottom. So I want to pull Dallas down with us. The Giants are already there. They want us to come with them, and we trying to pull Dallas down with us. I'm trying to go where Philadelphia going. I'm trying to go with them. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy BD writes, Dak is clearly wasting his time with the pregame hip thing he does. Keep doing it, Lou. I haven't seen that in a little while. I'm pretty sure he still does it. You know, those loose hips for old Daiquiri. Sweet like syrup. Hips don't lie, as Shakira says. Hips don't lie. Unfortunately for Dak, them picks don't lie neither. He threw 3 of them things tonight. Frankie, yo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Frankie, yo, writes, Lou, I think I need to be educated. See, Ron and company told me that the linebacker position is not as impactful as it once was. I must have been watching a different sport. Fred Warner must be playing shortstop. I've always explained to y'all that was their way of trying to rationalize the fact that we don't actually have any linebackers and that they're going to just keep – that's why they keep drafting safeties, right? To take the place of the linebacker position because we don't have any. Instead of them just saying, you know what? Let's go get us one of these things. And they think they did that with Jamin, right? Instead of them just saying, hey, let's keep drafting the position. Let's take another one in the 4th round. Let's take another one this next year in the 6th round. Like, let's just keep having young guys. Nope. They keep coming back with the same trash. And they go out and get Cody Barton like that's supposed to mean something. And we don't have – you know how much good linebacker play cleans up on a defense? You can make messes all over the place if you got really good line. You know how many plays, if we had better linebacker play, you know how many plays would have been made on our defense? Just off the strength of just better linebacker play. For one, against the Eagles a couple of weeks ago, that 3rd and 6 that Jalen Hurts converts at the end of the ball game in regulation, rather, where we could have got a stop and got the ball back with a chance to win in regulation. That play's not made if that's Fred Warner, because he's going to seek out that tight end and he's going to get to his body, or he's going to sink underneath that route. Or I think it was Olamide Zaccheaus. He's going to fall underneath that route to Olamide Zaccheaus and take that shit away. He ain't going to just be playing grass, vision on quarterback, but not aware of his surroundings and who's posting up right, literally 3 yards to his left. He's not going to be unaware of that shit. He's going to look back, peek, and see that there's a receiver back there, and he's going to sprint over there, take that shit away. Our guy's just going, vision on quarterback. I'm sinking to my depth. I got eyes on quarterback, but you don't got eyes on this tight end running right behind you. You ain't got eyes on this receiver that's literally sitting 3 yards to your left or your right, posted up behind you in his zone. You don't see that, do you? It's frustrating, but that's what good linebackers will do for your ass. You see these boys running to the ball, punching the shit out, making sound tackles. They set the tone tonight. Those linebackers did. Don't let Ronald and company lie to you about the insignificance of the linebacker position. They've been trying to shove that down our throats to the point where there are times where we won't even have but one linebacker on the field. They put the Cinco package in. They got one linebacker on the field. They've really done a number on the linebacker position in our minds. But if you're a smart enough fan, you know good and well the linebacker position is alive and well, and it's just sick. Damn near on his deathbed in Washington, and has been for a long time. At some point, we probably should just pull the plug. We keep showing up at the hospital every day, reading to the linebacker position, hoping that one day it'll start to show a little bit of brain frequency and start to come to. That position ain't coming to life. We should just pull the plug. You know, I hope you guys are watching. I'm gonna still talk about it tomorrow, but I love when Washington doesn't play on Sundays, whether we play on a Monday or Thursday, we got a bye week, whatever. I love when we don't play so we can watch all the games because I want y'all to see what the game's missing, right? What the game's been missing and what we still are lacking. Because, again, a lot of times I feel like our fans don't watch a lot of other games. You know, we play at 1 o'clock most weeks. You're consumed with that. And then, you know, after the game's over, you're consumed with the post game, listening to the players, whether you're watching my show or somebody else's show, and that could go for another 2-3 hours or whatever. And then, you know, you get into whatever routine you get into, take a bath, eat, whatever, get ready for the next day. You may catch a little bit of the Sunday night game, but you ain't, you know, watching the whole thing, whatever the case may be. I don't think a lot of fans actually see what's going on around the league. I hear a lot of, oh, we got the worst offensive line in football. No, we don't. Far from it. It's not a great offensive line, but it's a lot worse out there. Trust me. Right? But you see some of the shit that we missing too. Calculated. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Calculated writes, donation for the music soundboard. There's been a murder. Think there's been a murder. Cowboys down. Love to see it. Hashtag NHO, hashtag HTTC. Appreciate you, Calculated. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, Sunday ball was not on my mind Friday, but after today, feeling all right. With 2 of the 3 NFC East teams losing, we're still good, and it's early. Philly isn't balling. Let's roll these boys week 8. Again, I don't want to talk about Philadelphia. I don't even think we're going to beat Atlanta this week. Like, that's where my mind is. Like, y'all keep talking about Philly like Philly ain't worried about us. They worried about dusting off the Jets this week and then the Dolphins on Sunday night the following week. They got 2 games. They're not thinking about us, but y'all steady thinking about them. Like we just beat Chicago or something. Focus on the task at hand, man. Atlanta's next on the docket. Okay. Let's focus on them first. Let's try to get back to 500 before you can start talking about week 8. It's week 6 or week 5, right? About to be in the books tomorrow night. And then it's week 6. So I ain't even thinking about Philadelphia, to be honest with you. I will say this. This is the second time that I've been disappointed with a Sunday night game that Dallas has been involved in. Week 1, they were on the other end of the ass whooping and made what we thought was going to be a really good, close, competitive game into an ass whooping. And tonight, same thing, but they were on the receiving end of the ass thrashing. And the as a wise woman used to say, a sound beating. So I don't know what it is about Dallas and Sunday night this year, but they don't seem to be in the mood for producing some good content. But we'll see what happens moving forward. F. Altus, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Yo, Lou, why won't we run a QB sneak with Howe? Maybe they think he's already taken enough hits. I kid. I just don't think they want to do it. I personally would put Jacoby Brissett in. They're just so dumb and stubborn. Our coaching staff, they just kill me. And I don't know if y'all saw, there was like a couple, this is like the second time I've seen Jacoby Brissett with a kind of a aggressive, weird interaction with Eric Bieniemy. I don't know if y'all caught that. It was like a quick shot of it during the game where and EB's like, man, bro, back the up. All right, I'm trying to call this game. And Jacoby's like animated talking to him. I don't really know what that dialogue is about. But I know this much. If we get in the short yardage situation, I would just put Jacoby Brissett in. He's one of the best quarterback sneak. Like, he is built like Jalen Hurts. I know he don't squat 600 pounds like Hurts does, but he's built like him, and he's great at the quarterback sneak, just like Jalen Hurts is. I would use Jacoby Brissett. But they don't. Our guys aren't forward thinkers, you know. Ink Pusher. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. Y'all know what to do. Show Ink Pusher some love and welcome him to the squad. Glad to have you, Ink Pusher. Carl Wilkerson. Been a member for 3 months. Right? Where that punk Law at? First of all, why you gotta call my man Law punk? All right. He's probably over there crying his tears in his cereal, man. You know, he do a show just like I do after the game, probably having a call-in show, and all the Cowboys fans are probably calling in, crying like they always do. They'll be back. They'll be back up talking about Super Bowl, and after they destroy some downtrodden team in a couple of weeks or whatever. I think they're gonna beat the Chargers this week on Monday night. Just because I don't trust the Chargers defense. I think Herbert, and they got to protect Herbert. You know, I'm not sure if they'll protect Herbert or not. But if they give Herbert time, I think he can get surgical with that bitch. I just don't think that the Chargers defensively are that good. And thus, I think Dallas in that little dink and dunk offense is going to allow them to move the ball now. Will they get in the end zone? Chargers have actually been pretty good in the red zone in terms of defense, or at least against teams like Minnesota and then the Raiders last week, where they got these huge stops late in ball games. They've been good in the red zone in those types of situations. Maybe they'll be able to do that against Dallas. Hell, New England did it against them, and so did Arizona. So who knows? I don't think they got to the red zone very often tonight, but my guess is if they got to the red zone tonight, they weren't very effective because their one touchdown came outside of the red zone. Obviously, I don't think they got in there too often, if at all. No, they didn't make a trip to the red zone. So, I mean, it's that kind of night for them. They got dominated. The Q-Bone, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Q writes, what up, Lou? Duval, 3-2. Let's keep it going. Hey, that was a big win, bro. That was a huge win. My wife is like, she was telling me, you should pick Jacksonville this week. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna pass on that. She's like, every time they play them, they beat Buffalo. I'm like, okay, babe, I hear you. And then when they won, she's like, I told you. And she was talking all. She said, I want to look up their record because I feel like every time they played them, they beat. I was like, oh. So I had to hear that shit all night. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Jacksonville seems to know how to play these damn Bills. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Alex writes, today was a good day. Those Niners ain't no joke. They are not to be tampered nor played with, okay? Nor trifled with. When do y'all play them? What week? I hope it's soon. I know it ain't in the next 3 or 4 weeks, but I know your schedule about to get shitty fast. I mean, I think it starts with the Dolphins in week 7. It's Dolphins. I know it's Washington. Then I know it's somebody else good. It get real shitty quick. It's like the Chiefs, the Niners, Cowboys. I can't wait because I don't really know how y'all gonna handle that shit. To be honest with you, I'm still trying to figure y'all out because I have not been impressed. I have not been impressed. But hey, find ways to win. That's the name of the game in this league. But I'm gonna be honest with you. We the best team you done played yet. And we should have beat you. That's the way I look at the Eagles. Is like sort of like Dallas and the soft shit that they had, which is why they got off to the start they got off to. That's pretty much what Philadelphia's played. The Patriots are terrible. The Vikings are terrible. The Bucks are solid, but they're one-dimensional. They're very basic. The Rams aren't terrible, and they hung in, but they just didn't have enough. And Stafford, I think he is a flawed quarterback. And he played us. I think we're the best team you've played thus far. And we pushed your ass to the limit. And we had y'all on the ropes, and we let you off the hook. So I'm still not sure about you. You're going to have to do what the 49ers have done, which is beat some quality opponents, go on a road, do some interesting shit first before I start believing in y'all. Because this don't look like nothing that y'all did last year. Like, I'm not sold on the Eagles quite yet. But again, Name of the game is win. But I want to see what happens when you start playing some of these teams. After you play the Jets, you're going to mop the Jets next week. I want to see what happens against the Dolphins and then Washington the second time. And then shit's going to get, like I said, it's going to get shitty fast. And we're going to find out. And if you come out of that scrum, you know, with 1 or 2 losses, all right, you got my respect. You got my attention. I think you're going to come out of that shit wrecked. 3, 4 losses. Because I ain't buying what you're selling right now. But we're going to see. It starts with Miami. You beat them, I'm going to look at you a little different. And I don't think the Dolphins are a great road team either. So I think it's very doable. If that game were in Miami, I really think you could be in some trouble. But you'll have a real good shot at beating them. Especially, I hope they, you know, both of y'all get there healthy. I don't want anybody banged up. But I would have loved to have seen what you would have been doing had you played some good teams early instead of having your shit backloaded. Because the Chiefs might not be the Chiefs by the time you get there. Kelsey injured himself today. You just don't know, you know. Had you played the schedule the Giants play, you're definitely not undefeated right now. So we'll see. Your shit, like I said, your shit about to get shitty quick though. These Niners ain't no joke. I know they coming. That game's got to be in like the next 6 to 7 weeks. It's a long time though. Long time. Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Teams I put over us. Giants, Jets, Rams, Cardinals, Vikings, Green Bay, Chicago, even with the L. Oh, teams I put us over, rather. Atlanta, Carolina, Indy, Tennessee, Texans, New England, Oakland, you mean Vegas, and Denver. I think you're putting us over too many damn teams. Too many damn teams. Some of these teams, if we played them, I'm not sure if we would beat them or not. But again, it is what it is. HTTC. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, with Trey Lance's lack of experience, period, how does Dallas bring out his potential? I mean, the only way he's going to get better is if he plays. That's why I thought he was going to get some run tonight. Like, what are you putting in Cooper Rush for? You might as well play Trey Lance at that point. He back home in the Bay Area. You know, if there's any opportunity you want to give him is this one. Shit, you already got your ass whooped. Just throw him out there. Let him get a little bit of experience under his belt. But only way he's gonna get better if he plays. That's it. Top Flight. What up, Craig? My guy Top Flight writes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, why would Kellen Moore allow this to happen? You know, it's so funny because Law, all he would talk about was Kellen Moore's offense and how bad it was and this, that, and the third. And I'm telling you, man, Kellen, all you can say what you want about Kellen Moore. He had them throwing the ball and had them being explosive. We remember last year, they were playing the Colts, and Colts were in the game for 3 quarters, and then Dallas scored like 35 points in the 4th quarter and beat them like 52 to like 17 or some crazy shit like that. Say what you want about Kellen Moore, but them boys was dynamic and explosive. That ain't what they look like now, man. So I can't wait. I so hope Kellen, similar to Hack did tonight or earlier this evening against the Broncos, I'm hoping Kellen Moore gets a little bit of revenge. And I hope after the game, Brandon Staley gives him a game ball. And we get to see it. Oh, man. Mike Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Mike Leslie. Right. So appreciate you. First of all, appreciate you for the generous dono. Mike Leslie writes, appreciate you, Louie T. I want the Commanders to have a good season as an Eagles fan. Trash talk ain't fun if your rivals aren't with us at the top. Ain't that the truth? I mean, if this thing continues going in the direction it's going in right now, the Eagles will be so far out of sight that it ain't even going to make this. I mean, you know, I'm going to still talk my shit. That's what I do. And I fully plan on beating them in week 8. So that'll give me at least a little something that I can, run with. But I mean, if these boys continue to win, and they're going to win again next week against the Jets, and if they beat the Dolphins, they're 7-0. Dallas could lose to the Chargers on Monday, right? And then I think they got another game that's semi-tough. I'd like to think they're going to win that game. I don't remember who it was. I think they played the Chargers, and then they got like a bye. Or they play the Chargers, play somebody else, then they go on a bye week, whatever the case may be. Dallas right now is the only team that is even within shouting distance. Giants and Commanders are both under 500, so Eagles ain't concerned with that. And so they created a little distance. That Arizona loss is backbreaking. You couldn't, because even if you get your ass whooped tonight, you're 4-1. You one game, one slip up by the Eagles, and you're right there. Right now, you need help. He says, plus, I'm pretty sure we can at least all unite in laughing at the Cowboys. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't. So my disdain for the Cowboys isn't as great because we ain't been good. So it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I can't stand the Cowboys because I can't. Man, I ain't gonna sit here and act like I have love for the Cowboys because I don't. I can't stand them still. But they just like the Eagles, well, really more so Dallas. They beat us up so much. It wasn't a rivalry. I know Washington fans don't like to hear that shit. And when I used to say it, they would get mad at me. I don't care. It ain't been a rivalry. It can't be a rivalry. First of all, you're not any good. So they don't even look at us like a rival. Like, I always like to compare these conversations to like ACC basketball, right? Because there was a pecking order once upon a time when Maryland and everybody was still in the ACC. Carolina's always going to be Duke's number one rival. They were that was what it used to be. Dallas versus, Cowboys versus Redskins, Dallas versus Washington. That's what it used to be, right? And then I felt like the Eagles were like Maryland. They wanted respect from everybody, but ain't nobody respect them because you just the Eagles. Now the roles have reversed. The Eagles are now the Duke Blue Devils in the division. Dallas is the Eagles, North Carolina, and now we don't even exist. It's like we're Virginia or some shit, right? And, Virginia had their moments. They won the NCAA, championship and all that good stuff, but it's still Virginia. Like, yeah, they cool or whatever, but it's Virginia. I don't think Dallas looks at us like how we look at them. I know the Eagles don't look at us like they look at Dallas as their, main competitor, as they should. Until we build up some more respect, I expect this from Dallas. So I don't really get as excited as I used to when I thought they could actually, like when they had Tony Romo, these types of performances used to fill my heart with joy because I thought they could legitimately win some shit with Tony Romo. Like one of these times he's going to get his act together because they ain't going to keep winning 12 games and get to the playoffs and, and not win. Like that Green Bay year, that was the year, right? If they call that Dez Bryant catch, that was the year. He was going to put that shit together, and they was going to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they would have won it, but they were going to the chip that year. That was the year. At first, I used to feel that way with Dak. I'm like, man, one of these years, he going to put this shit. He ain't putting shit together. Dak is mentally broken. And if he gets his shit together, it will not be in Dallas. I assure you of that. He ain't winning shit with that. So these types of performances don't move the needle like they once did for me. Because in order for me to be invested and really, really laughing at their plight, I got to think they capable of winning some shit. And they not. The Eagles' demise would would bring more joy to my heart than anything that happens with Dallas. But misery loves company. And we miserable as hell after getting a 40 spot put on our head by the Bears. We miserable as shit. So looking at Dallas and seeing them having a 40 burger put on their skulls, I'm like, hey, man, come sit down at the bar with us, man. This first round's on us, man. Sit down with us. And the Giants already, they at the end of the bar, head down. I stopped sending them drinks. they don't need nothing else to drink. But you come sit down right next to me and come get a drink. This first one is on me, man. Come sit down. I appreciate you, Mike Leslie. Metaphor, been a member for 25 months. Metaphor writes, give me Sam over Dak. My member month for NHL TDs is in 23. I already said by season's end, our guy wouldn't be in last. And I told you, you were allowed to allow your imagination to run wild. And it won't be long. I don't know if it'll be this year, but it won't be long. If we can keep our guy upright, keep him healthy, it won't be long. I'll say that. LT, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Dak has Wentzitis. Woo, that's a good one. Wentzitis. And what if Howell never beats Hurts? He'll beat him. He's going. We have plans in week 8. If the Dolphins don't start your demise, I will. We'll see to it that gets done. So we won't have to worry about that much longer. But ouch. Dak has Wentzitis. Yikes. That's rough. Eric Sunderland, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I agree with you. I'd rather be good, but my best 2 friends, both are Cowboys fans. And how that happened, need new friends. Anyway, I got to drag them down. I feel you. I mean, I already told you my entire family, except for my sister, Cowboys fans. So I know the feeling. You know, but like I said, the beauty of my dad, he knew what was up. Like these games used to affect me as a kid, man. I used to live and die on all these, Washington games, and we used to lose all the damn time. And so I think he started to feel sympathy for me, right? Because it was rough, man. We would go years without beating Dallas. So it just became like commonplace that they were going to beat us, especially in the 90s. It was rough. Every now and again, we'd jump up and bite them, but like we did with Heath Schuler, I think it was 96, 95, 96, something like that. It's rare, though. We would get our asses handed to us twice a year, every year against Dallas for a stretch there. And if we would beat them, it would be cool. We snap a streak, and then they just start a new one. So we don't really talk shit to each other. We don't really talk shit to each other. There's a mutual respect there. So I don't really feel the need to, eviscerate Cowboys fans. But the Eagles fans are so boisterous, and they're so outlandish, and they're so ignorant. Like a lot of them don't know ball, right? They're like minions. I got to have it. I got to have their head on a stick. Cowboys fans, they're delusional because they still living off of success from the 90s. So it's almost sad with some of them, right? It's almost sad. Eagles fans, they hungry. Like they trying to make up for lost time, but they just so over the top that I got to have it. That's I'm out for blood with them. They the ones I want. And not all of them. Just most of them. Frankie, yo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? I still can't get over the fact that losing 28-3 at halftime, our head coach comes out and is like, I didn't say anything. What does Ronald even do? Correction. It was 27-3. Not 28. They already had enough points. Don't get them anymore. And sometimes when you get your ass beat like that, what can you say? Clearly, they weren't listening to your ass before the game. Clearly, they weren't listening all week when you were talking to them. So maybe you just need to fall back. They played a lot better in the second half when he didn't say shit. So, I don't know. I mean, again, let your imagination run wild. Anyway, I digress. Thorough ass whooping administered tonight by the San Francisco 49ers, 42-10. Dominant performance by them in all three phases. The defense was just suffocating. What did Tony Pollard do tonight? Dak had 3 turnovers, or excuse me, the Cowboys had 4 turnovers. Dak had 3 by himself, 3 interceptions thrown. And then you had the Tony Pollard fumble as well. Let's see what Pollard did. 8 carries, 29 yards. So they suffocated his ass. And they did what they set out to do, which was neutralize the run game and force Dak to beat them. They knew that nickel and dime shit that they have been performing all year long wasn't going to get it done against their ferocious and hungry defense. 14 of 24 for $153, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 6.4 yards. This is the shit that's been tickling my fancy all year long. Dak's been in that 5.5 to 6.5 range of yards per attempt all season long. That shit ain't gonna get it done. It's just it just ain't, right? And that's why I'm not afraid of them. And nor should anybody else out there that has a semblance of a defense. Meanwhile, Brock Purdy, 17 of 24, 252, 10.5 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Jordan Mason, 10 for 69. He did have the 26-yarder, but he was running hard and aggressive all night before the 26-yard touchdown. McCaffrey didn't have a great night, but it was just the repetitive blows, those body blows that they kept delivering by giving McCaffrey the football that really did the Cowboys. And Kittle had a huge night. 3 catches. All 3 of his catches resulted in touchdowns for George Kittle. His first 3-touchdown game of his career. So George Kittle, go have yourself a night. Distribution was lovely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different dudes caught the rock tonight for the San Francisco 49ers. And they dominate this game 6 ways to Sunday, 42-10. Let me go out of my way to read a comment from my boy. I know he a Niners fan. He got to be in here. My guess is, see, Niners fan. Knew he was in here. He says, once again, I was upset by how much unnecessary carries and hits McCaffrey took. But Cal did a good job this evening. The workload between him, Debo, and Mason in the second half. I didn't think they put a lot of unnecessary hits and extra, carries and touches on his plate tonight. I thought they got him out of the game in good fashion. I thought they mixed Mason in well. I thought it was good. I thought you had some gripes, some legitimate gripes early in the season when you were beating up some teams and you look up and McCaffrey's got 26 or 27 carries. I didn't think that was the case tonight. He only ended up with 19 carries. How many catches did he have? We'll see how many touches total he had. I didn't think it was too bad on Shanahan's part tonight. I thought they got him out of the game. He had 2 catches, so he had 21 touches tonight. That's not a lot for Christian McCaffrey. As you know, I thought he did a good job. Niners fan says, I'm all in on Brock. Wasn't sold on him last year, but he's yet to lose a full game. He started. The Philly game in December will be the biggest game on. Damn, it's not till December. Shit. That's a long time from now. For seeding purposes. Absolutely. I think if you continue to play the way you're playing, Philly's going to lose some games. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Philly's going to lose some games. Unless they change some shit drastically, they're going to lose some football games this year. So I don't know if it'll come down to that game in particular, Now, if you don't take care of business and you lose a couple yourself, which naturally that's y'all gonna get tripped up somewhere along the way, you would think, right? Then it may come into play, right? I could see by the time y'all playing, Philly's got 2 or 3 losses. If you've just got 1 and they've got 3, you good, right? You clear of them by 2 games. But if you get to them and they got 3 and you got 2, then that's when that shit could matter, right? So we'll see what happens. I didn't realize that game was so far down the road. I thought it was like, 6-7 weeks from now. Right? December means that game's probably in 8 weeks or so. Yikes, that's a long time. Anyway, I digress. Let me get to, I think I got a super chat right here from Mike Leslie. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy Mike Leslie writes, also, what offer, if any, would you take as a trade for Chase Young? I mean, I would definitely be listening. For me, it would take at least a second round pick right now, because if you trading for him, that means you're desperate. When you get closer to the trade deadline, see, this is the thing. If it ain't, I'm going to get a third round compensatory pick for him if he goes sign with another team in the offseason. So I don't need to trade him to you for a third round pick now. I can wait and get that. So if you ain't offering me a second, what are we even talking about? You see what I'm saying? We cut Chase Young loose. He signs a 4-year or 3-year, let's say a 3-year. Say it's a 3-year, $45 million deal with somebody, which I wouldn't even pay him that, to be honest with you. I would make him prove it on a 1-year prove it deal. But let's just say he gets something like that from somebody. 3 years, $54 million, something like that. I'm still getting a third round compensatory pick based off of him signing that deal. So the only difference would be if I'm hard off for that third rounder in this upcoming draft in 2024 instead of waiting until 2025 to get it. Either way, you still getting the shit. So you offering a 3 or anything worse, that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, a 2 or a 1, now you're talking. You got my attention. I think for me, it would take a 2. I don't think anybody's giving up a 1 for Chase Young. But if you really want him, a 2 would get it done for me, and I'd be willing to part ways with him. We've proven that we can get the job done without him, and he's not going to be here next year, as far as I'm concerned. We'll see. He could end up being the one that is here, and Montez Sweat ain't. The likelihood is both of them will not be in Washington. So you got to make up your mind, and you got to decide. And I already know which one this regime would take if they had to choose one. So, but they're not going to be here either. So, again, don't really know. Rocky D. So I'm telling you, it'd be a second round pick for me. Rocky D. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, trade deadline coming soon. Anyone in mind? We're not making no deals. And if I'm Josh Harris, I'm not allowing Ron Rivera and company to make no deals. Had they beaten Philadelphia, or had they lost to Philadelphia in the manner that they lost, won the next 3 and then beat Philadelphia, because that's right around the trade deadline. The end of October is usually the trade deadline. So you go into that game, that Philadelphia game, 5-2. Yeah, I might allow you to do something. I ain't letting you do shit now. Don't trade no assets, because you ain't going to be here to spend them. I want the next dude to come in here to have a full clip, all his ammunition, and I want him to have an opportunity to hit the ground running. So, again, if anything, we would be the ones selling items if we ain't shit. Because you know what? I'm going to say that for the show tomorrow. Anyway, I digress. I appreciate y'all joining me. Big win for the San Francisco 49ers, man. I didn't see this coming. Anybody that said they did, lying through their damn teeth. 49ers win? Yeah, absolutely. Anybody could say that they saw that coming. I saw that coming. I didn't see it coming in this manner. Never thought that they would destroy them in this way. Like it from the word go, I felt like Dallas is in over their heads. They're overmatched tonight. From the first possession, when they went down and they scored, Dallas got the ball and they couldn't do anything. They got the ball again and they had an opportunity to score, but they were driving and then they had a couple mistakes. And so Dallas was spared. Then they went 3 and out again and gave it right back to San Francisco. And I'm like, they are dominating them right now. Didn't think we would get to that point, though. 42-10. Ouch. Anyway, I digress. Niners 5-0, joining the 5-0 Eagles is the only 2 unbeaten teams in football. Meanwhile, the Cowboys dropped to 3-2. And as I stated at the beginning of the show, I think that this is further confirmation that the Cowboys just aren't in that class, right? I don't think the Cowboys are terrible. You know, a lot of people are going to have overreactions. Oh, the Cowboys suck, this, that, and the third. No, the 49ers are just that good. Cowboys just, they aren't that good. That's what this reveals. 49ers are that good, and the Cowboys not on that level. They're the next tier down. And I do think they got a Dak Prescott issue on their hands. And I do think they have an offensive scheme and philosophical approach issue as well. I've been screaming that all year. People have been ignoring me because they're winning games. I think tonight shined a bright light on that offense. And boy, what they saw was not pretty. Anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Back at it tomorrow. I've already watched all the games, so we should be able to get into the Louie T Network podcast tomorrow and, again, hit the ground running. So look forward to chopping it up with you guys then. Until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care. God bless. Good night.